It was a good hour? No, half hour, 40 minutes.
That was a good discussion we had just for fast.
Not the first time that's happened, sadly.
Well, you know what's going to happen is that the 30 minutes is going to be blank on this. It's great.
Sugar plums and dandelions.
Yeah. So what I was saying is, national politics is an interesting discussion. It's something that we've had to, deal with many times on this show, but we don't, because we like to try to keep it local. Even you on Facebook mentioned that you wish more people would talk about local politics. I'm not going to go into this whole thing again because
I'm thinking, are we going to repeat? I'm trying to remember what we were saying.
But I will say that there is an article out there, and it's to me, no matter who you support, you can support people for whatever reasons you like. In Donald Trump's situation, you may like the tax cuts. You may like the deregulation. You may like the fact that he doesn't beat around the bush and he just speaks his mind and, all that kind of stuff. What I don't like is when, if you do support a politician, facts are being presented to you and you need to just take the fact in and just accept it for what it is. It's not fake news. It's not deep state. It's not this. It's not that. It's a fact that something wrong happened, and whether you support your man or not, you're just going to have to accept it that's what it is. So I have an article in front of me about military members. And again, I apologize. We actually, I screwed up. I'm not acting like I didn't screw up here. I screwed up the first half hour. I forgot the sound. My bad, everybody. But I will say that this article talks about, and I've kept my eye on how Donald Trump has been with the military. There's a lot of false information that gets out there. There was one thing that I know he said, that he gave the military the biggest raise in the past 10 years, or at first he kind of put it out there that there wasn't a raise in the past 10 years. Then he said it's the biggest raise in the past 7 years. I don't think any of that is true, actually, because I'm pretty sure Barack Obama in 2010, I think it was, and 2009 as well, reached almost 4% in a raise, and this 2018 raise was 1.4%. So I don't even know where all these figures are coming from, that like this is historic raise or anything like that, but it's not.
Because everything is the best and the biggest. I was a fan.
He has the best words, the biggest words.
I was a fan, and I can honestly tell you, I've been watching him for years. The Apprentice and other things that he's done. I've been with his family for some reason. I've always liked the Trumps. Mm-hmm. Not politically, but the things that he says, it's totally as if it's an Apprentice episode. I'm not even kidding.
Well, why would he go against the formula that works?
Well, he's an actor, so that's just what he's used to.
He's got a lot of people on his side.
This is the biggest. He's getting the biggest ratings.
So I actually, and again, on my Facebook.
Best ratings.
On my Facebook, I've been using my social media to challenge my friends who are not just conservatives but who are Democrats as well. I try to just challenge them and try to invoke more independent thinking rather than what your party talking points are. One talking point. Oh my goodness! Wait, I'm going to wait for this one, but I want to talk about this story first before we go any further. I shared this with a couple of my friends who are supporters of Donald Trump, and I don't think every Donald Trump supporter is a lunatic. I think that there are some rational, reasonable individuals who simply like Donald Trump. And I sent them this article and I didn't get a reply back yet. I didn't get anything back yet. And I'm kind of surprised by that, because I think that what I'm trying to do is, if your person who you support does something wrong, you need to start actually coming to grips with that and saying, you know what, this was wrong. I think that's really what it comes down to a lot of times, is that they're just trying to protect their man so much, or woman.
And everybody makes mistakes. So right. That to me is.
But this one's a doozy. So I'm just going to read the first paragraph. And one thing I got to say is, Donald Trump, nobody can really say that his appointments have been great, right?
No.
DeVos, Pruitt
was a train wreck.
Yeah, Pruitt, yeah. Scott Pruitt's in this paragraph here. Ben Carson, Jeff Sessions.
The list goes on and on.
Rick Perry,
Mike Flynn.
Yeah, just insane. Anyway, in this one, I got the paragraph here. Donald Trump administration feared it would be a, quote, public relations nightmare. A major federal study that concluded contaminated groundwater across the country especially near military bases, was more toxic than the government realized. Political aides to Donald Trump and EPA head Scott Pruitt pressured the agency for toxic substances and disease registry against releasing these results. Now, and we just had this conversation a half hour ago, but did I mention anybody else in this paragraph?
No.
Was Barack Obama mentioned in this paragraph at all?
No Clinton. No Obama.
Right.
No Bush.
When that's the first thing that usually comes out, and it's been going on with the border conversation and everything, is that when you say something that sheds a negative light on their guy, the first thing you do is point the finger at somebody else. You can't point the finger here. This is a problem. Now, if this happened during the other administration, that's fine too, but it was in somebody's hands to release this information, and they chose not to. And it was Scott Pruitt and Donald Trump. And that's it. There's nothing else you can say about it. So I think that people need to just start opening up their minds a little more, being more reasonable on this conversation.
I don't care who's in office when, because if the groundwater is contaminated, it's been contaminated. So here's the thing, okay? Who's in charge right now? Who's the president now?
Yeah.
He's the one who has to take responsibility for whatever is happening now. I don't care what's happened before, because guess what? What's happened before has led us to where we are now. What George Washington did when he was president led to where we are now. Same thing with Lincoln. We can't change none of what they did. However, we can change current events and future events, and right now, Trump's the president.
I wanna throw out there that he's been the president for 17 months. This happened 6 months ago.
That the information was released?
Yes. No. The information was released just recently, but this event happened where they suppressed it 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So
there's no mistake with the EPA.
Yeah.
His presidency and the EPA, he has obliterated the EPA. So that I'm not even. That's totally Trump.
That's part of the reason why Wall Street is performing as well as it is right now, because of a lot of the deregulation.
And I want to take that back. It's not because of Trump, because ultimately when we're saying Trump, Obama, so like what plays in my head is Obama started regulating stuff and maybe went a little too far because there were businesses that wanted to be green. So those businesses started pushing a certain way and lobbying our politicians to go in a certain way. Much in the same way right now, they're doing it, and Trump is the president. So they're pushing the other way. So it's like, it's not even, they're just actors. Like there's people behind the president doing this, that. No matter who the president is. He's not this amazing guy that's doing everything on his own. He actually doesn't have as much power as everybody likes to believe he does.
No president really does.
Right. So it's like, we got to stop that whole, it's this person's fault, Let's work on the problem.
Well, how he is with the military matters to me for obvious reasons, but this notion that it's something that the conservative base usually does a pretty good job of, is putting on this mantra that they care more about the military than other political parties do. I think they all have a lot of faults involved. I mean, the entire George Bush administration was a disaster from a military standpoint. I don't think Barack Obama did much better. I think he had some victories he can notch up as far as Osama bin Laden and some things, but overall, I don't think anyone can really.
Where is that military base? Like, what is this? Is all across the country?
Yeah.
Because one thing that you didn't mention is it's groundwater, so groundwater is affecting everybody.
They're just. I didn't want to read the entire article, so it's a pretty good, as you can see, it's a pretty good sized article. Yeah, but I'll look at this one. In 2016, the Grand Rapids Press spoke to several veterans who blamed various health problems, spinal defects, thyroid problems, and hypertension on this chemical called PFAS, and it's contaminated water near Worth Smith Air Force Base in Michigan. They began connecting the dots that in February, Michigan officials warned against consuming well water near the facility due to the presence of the compounds. We thought that if anything was wrong, of course, someone would tell us. One veteran said, "It feels like we've been betrayed."
Again, local officials. This is where it's so important to pay attention locally, man.
Yep. So you definitely have some serious issues going on here, and You know, I think you need to start holding your political entities accountable.
Yeah.
Whether or not you're a big fan of them or not, it doesn't make a difference. This is wrong, and people are going to get hurt. And you know, I don't. This isn't.
I wonder if John McCain is aware of that.
This isn't me. This isn't me or you jumping on a politician. This is me and you seeing something wrong.
Problem. It's jumping on a
Right.
problem,
Right.
not the politician.
That's it,
The
man.
problem.
And the
What's
first
the
thing people
problem?
want to do is point the finger at the previous guy. I showed this to somebody. They wanted to blame Obama immediately. I'm like, guys, this is a Donald Trump problem. This is a Scott Pruitt
It's a
problem.
United States problem.
No.
It's a United States problem.
Yeah.
Like, this is the thing. We are a country. Like, I don't. And the divisiveness is driving. Is what's driving me crazy the most.
Gotta protect
Like,
your man.
Yeah. Like, I just can't.
So that article was there.
That's a good article.
You want to definitely read that one, Nikki. I know
Yeah,
you'll
I'm
probably be
going
on
to.
top of that one. Couple
Well,
other.
because it reminds me of Flint.
Yeah.
Flint, Michigan. That's what's, you know, the
It's
water
interesting
is-
that Michigan was. Yeah.
So, which is what I'm saying
Yeah.
now. Will this, being on a military installation, get more attention than Flint, Michigan? And then what happens with the correlation?
Yeah, I think if the media decides to start making this a story, it'll become a story. I think you got to remember your politicians, all politicians. I'm not talking about 99%. All politicians jump on the military bandwagon come election time. All of them, every single one. There's not a single one that doesn't. And whether it's local or big, you know, national politics, and if the media does pick this up and it becomes a big story, I think you're going to start seeing some heads rolling. I do, because this is really bad. This is not good at all.
No.
But I think that because politicians' heads might roll, and because this gets pointed to certain people, the media might not jump on this as big as they want to. We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. It's just a matter of time as to whether or not that will. But
And if they're not talking about it now, they'll have no choice but to talk about it in the future when a lot more people are sick because they're doing nothing about it now.
And this isn't the first problem that we've seen from a military standpoint. Agent Orange, huge issue to this day.
I mean, do we really? Can't we? Isn't it obvious that every time our military men and women serve in a war, like they come back and there's a change in them.
There's a
There's
problem.
something different.
Yeah.
You know, we don't know. Like, we had to take this shot and this shot,
Yep.
so we didn't get this and that and this and that. When we go overseas, they gotta do certain things. We don't know what they're subjected to.
I've personally never seen anything worse than what I've read about the Tuskegee Airmen. That was the
That
most
is
despicable.
horrifying.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I've never met anyone
Yeah.
who was involved in that, but I have met people from who fought during Vietnam, and I've known multiple Vietnam vets who have snapped and thought they were back in war, and I've seen people get lifted by their throats because somebody snapped. I watched a Vietnam vet cry his eyes out because he was so embarrassed that he snapped back into the war and looked at somebody and thought that that person was
Yep.
an enemy, and he treated that person like he was an enemy, and then I watched him fall to his knees and cry when he realized what he has done,
Yep.
what he did. So that's where I think I get frustrated most.
Of course.
When Trump stands there and insults any member of our military or a family. To me, it doesn't matter if you've served for our country. That to me is the biggest. For me, anyway, my great-grandfather fought in World War II. My family has always taught me to be proud to be an American.
Yep.
So to me, it's the greatest honor that if you're going to serve our country, you're willing to give your life for our country. That's a big deal to me. And I don't think we respect them enough. We do not respect our military men and women enough.
So I also got into a discussion with a friend who is a Democrat, who's on the Democratic side. And again, I try to have these discussions with people because it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican to me. If you marry yourself to a political party and you're going to regurgitate their talking points, then you're no longer thinking for yourself, in my opinion. You're no longer thinking like a critical thinking individual. You're now just going to follow whatever party line goes down your way. So I had a discussion about, I said, you know, I don't think they had the same policies, the zero tolerance policies, But we did have problems at our border during the Obama administration. We did have people separated from families during the Obama administration. I said that. And I said it was a problem then, but the media didn't jump on it as hard, and then not nearly as intensely as they are now. And people weren't calling and advocating as much anywhere near what they are right now. And I think you just need to recognize that and say that happened. It shouldn't have happened that way. Now we have an opportunity to turn it around today. But they don't even want to have that conversation. They just want to vilify the bad guy. And in this case, it's going to be Donald Trump in their faces, in their eyes. And they're going to vilify him, but still not recognize that this has been an issue.
That's what I'll say. Where's the end to this conversation? I see multiple, and I'll read other people's conversations.
Yeah.
There's never a point. It's like, oh, you just want to vote and you just want to vote. No, okay, we need to come to an agreement. If you're steadfast in that belief, I get it, okay.
Right.
And I'm steadfast in my belief,
right.
Okay, let's work on a solution.
Figuring out getting to the bottom of this.
Know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My mother, I guess it's because my mother always taught me, you gotta jump the bridge if your friends do. You know what I mean? Like, you don't do what everybody else does.
Yeah. So I felt like expanding the work process with immigration, making it's a humongous bureaucracy as far as immigration goes right now. But if you're able to decrease or completely eliminate that bureaucracy and open up your opportunities to expand the workforce, to get people in here that can work and pay taxes and be a part of the tax base, then by all means, that to me is an outlet that we can explore. I don't like to see, obviously, people coming in and getting free benefits all over the place, but if they're working and they're contributing to the base, then it's a whole different conversation.
I don't know what benefits they're getting.
I don't know either.
I don't know. I'm not going to claim that they don't, but I know for me how difficult it is to have gotten help in the
I'm
past.
not in their
my mother
shoes.
died and left me with a 6-year-old when I was 17 years old. And trust me, I couldn't get any kind of help. It was like I had to go through all kinds of things. And you need documentation to prove X, Y, Z. So I don't think that I think if you really looked into it, I don't think it's as...
I'm not in their shoes. I don't know what options
so it's
are there. I don't know. I've not lived the life of someone that's crossed the border.
That's why I said I would love to go down there.
But there are, there's people out there that have their statistics and whatnot, and it doesn't bother me at all. All I'm saying is that if it is going on, I wouldn't really want to see that. I'd rather see people who want to work, who want to become citizens, working towards becoming a citizen.
Have we ever, though, you know what I mean? I guess maybe because I was born and raised in Fall River, so I've always been around immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
I have yet to see a group of immigrants who hasn't worked hard.
Yeah.
There is always poorer people on the spectrum, but let's be honest.
Well,
there's not a lot of jobs either, and I'm not saying that because something. If I felt like my life where I lived, my home, the only reason I would ever leave my home was because I felt that I could have a better life somewhere else. The only way I would rip my child out of our home is if it was so bad in our home. So to me, if they need to get a leg up for a little bit when they get here, it's not something that's long-term because welfare isn't long-term. No matter what anybody tells me, I've been on it. I've gone through all of that. I know how it goes. It's not long-term, regardless of what you want to think. And then they say schooling, okay, I get that. But I've always been surrounded by hardworking immigrants.
So you have your government that gets in the way of things sometimes, right? So again, to talk about the bureaucratic process of immigration in itself right now. Then you look at government in its laws of labor laws, right? So companies who wouldn't mind hiring cheap labor have to do it illegally.
Right.
Because of the laws.
Right.
So now you have bureaucracy creating immigration problems, people crossing the border, quote, illegally, which is a federal misdemeanor, by the way. And then you have people who do get in, but they can't really become part of the payroll because these companies wouldn't even hire them.
Right.
Right? Because they can't afford to pay them, give them benefits and all this and that and the other.
Right.
So again, your government is in the way of that progress too.
Well, and then you'll hear some people say, well, they're stealing our jobs.
Huh.
Okay. So here's where I'm going to say I love the United States, I love my fellow Americans, okay? But you know how many times I've heard, I'm not cleaning that, I'm not doing that, I don't get paid enough to clean that bathroom, I don't get paid enough to do that, I don't get paid. Listen, there is always going to be somebody who is willing to get paid that to do that job.
So your government gets in the way of this as well. So what I'm thinking is you need an overhaul in your bureaucratic process to improve this immigration issue and this labor issue. That's it.
They know when to use immigration when they need
Absolutely
employees. Right. They know how to, when they need a military installation
Absolutely.
Close to Europe, and they go over to the Azores and dazzle them with how America can help them. Mm-hmm. They know how to use it that way. So that's the part that's frustrating for me.
This entire country was built on cheap labor.
Yes.
From top to bottom. Right. From top to bottom, this country was built on cheap labor through immigration.
Yeah.
From top to bottom.
Because we've needed it.
From sea to shining sea. Yeah. So I guess right now, the one entity that's here that wasn't there was the laws. Yeah. These laws are what are really in the way of these things being a much smoother process. But again, you have populations out there that simply don't want other people here.
Right.
They don't want, no. Absolutely not. Build a wall, keep them all out.
No, and then you gotta. But when you go into those towns and you drive in and you see that on one corner there's the jail, and then they've got one restaurant, but the restaurant's inside the pharmacy.
Yeah.
Then you understand why they might not want anybody else coming in. It's because they're fighting for their lives.
Absolutely.
They're fighting for the very few jobs that are in their local areas.
Which again, I think businesses would expand more if your labor laws weren't so strict. I'm just throwing it out there. I think you gotta really...
Or if there weren't so many loopholes. Like, like because when the government is telling you, hey, we'll give you a bigger tax break if you hire all these people, if you have employees who receive assistance. Well...
Yeah.
They're like, well, if we're paying so much that they get off assistance, we're not going to get the tax break on the other end.
Absolutely.
Come on.
So again, you have just a lot of government intervention that's going on here that is very likely creating a lot of the problems that we have.
Yeah, but nobody's paying attention to those things.
No, not at all.
It's not flashy enough.
I think you can fix these problems if you have groups of politicians that want to work together to decrease this influence. But you're not having that. As a matter of fact, everybody's doubling down on more influence, and it's causing more problems.
I like it. It's divisive.
Yes, it's causing more problems. So government gets in the way. Now, I got another one for you, because people can be silly sometimes. One talking point that I've seen, I'm actually seeing it from the people who don't like Donald Trump, but I've also seen it from the people who don't like Barack Obama. Insert the politician you don't like. And this sentence, I think you might have seen it around. So-and-so, I'll just say, politician that I don't like has set race relations back 50 years. Right? Now, I have to admit...
bang my head against the wall.
I have to admit, now, this is just through my own two eyes, okay? Every single person who I've either seen say or type this was a white person.
Oh, of course.
All right. Okay. So I need to kind of make, if we're going to have a conversation...
I have seen some black people say the same.
All right. About who?
Both.
Oh, yeah? From Barack and
I was actually surprised, but then I'm like, why?
So you know who I laugh at the most when I hear that either Barack Obama or Donald Trump has set relations back? You know who I laugh at the most?
No.
George Bush. W. He seems to have gotten a big pass on all this.
And they are loving him in Africa right now. I say the same thing. I'm like, do you guys remember what he did? Like, he don't like you. He just wants your lands.
Man.
You got oil. You got diamonds.
So I laugh at that because it seems like he's getting a big pass. Yeah. It seems like maybe it's implied that after the George W. Bush administration, race relations somehow was on some great grand scale of...
No, it's because a black man was elected that everybody is going to say that race relations... I just think it brought everything up. Like, it just bubbled it up. So, like, although I don't like the arguments that I'm seeing right now about race, I'm like, it's a good thing that Trump did what he did, because then now we see, like, it's not hidden anymore.
He ripped
like,
the scab off.
Like, yeah, like he was like, aha, we're here. So I think that's one of the good things.
I will go on a limb and say that no one individual has the power to set back race relations. I think that you are either racist or not. And if it was dormant in you and something the president said brought it out, fine, but you still had it in you.
I'm actually going to take a different stance to that. When you have the president standing on a podium saying that he will pay for a lawyer if anybody gets arrested for doing a certain thing, that's a little bit different. That's a little bit different, because he has, I mean, I'm glad in one way because it has bubbled it up, but at the same time, there are racist people who are taking an extra leap. Right now, on the 1-year anniversary of
Charlottesville.
the Charlottesville rally, I'm not sure of the exact group, so I don't even want to say the name of it.
Okay.
They filed for permits at Washington, D.C. To have an anniversary. White nationalists are going to have a 1-year anniversary of what took place in Charlottesville in Washington, D.C.
So you have this huge finger pointing stuff going back and forth between the nationalists, Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
You have people kneeling in front of the flag. You got people yelling and screaming. These sons of bitches need to be fired. You got all this stuff going back and forth now.
They want private companies to be forced to keep employees when they say certain things that the company does. Like, it's crazy.
So you have all this going on, and this is my opinion, but a racist is a racist. So I don't think Barack Obama or George Bush or Donald Trump or any of these people created these racists. It might have given them more of a platform to be more vocal.
I think it's just vocal.
A racist is always going to be a racist, and you know the only way that you get through this is by pushing away your bias and just starting to talk to people on a respectful level. And once you're able to do that, a lot of stuff goes a long way. But then nobody wants to do that.
No.
You can't even go on your page and pose a question about whether or not someone is legal or illegal if they have the documentation without ripping on and going on and on and on, because they're just ready to fight. They're ready to go at you.
But it also comes down to me not giving them that either. I made perfectly clear, like, I'm not listening to you talk about borders or welfare, but do you have an opinion about people who say all their ancestors illegal and they may or may not have the documentation to prove it? When I did that, they didn't have anything to say about it.
Because that was the topic you were talking about.
And that's what I said. Yeah. So I ended up saying, well, you see, it's because nobody is fighting over the topic that I'm posing the question about.
Right.
They just want to, and then one other person came on and started the same thing. So I posed the question to them, but they were a little more like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. And I explained to them, I'm not the person who wants to get into an online debate. You have your opinions, I have mine. If you want to come to some kind of an agreement or work on a solution, I'm down for that. But I'm not going to go into this endless back and forth.
Part of the reason why you got off the internet for a little while was because of that.
It was because there were a lot of people saying a lot of racist things for attention, and I don't believe that anybody anywhere on the planet should be treated without respect just because. Like, even if you don't like somebody, even if I think there's still a level of respect. Like, I teach my children, you're allowed to question authority, you're allowed to say why, but you need to do it respectfully.
Right.
And that's what's lacking, is people are so quick to call somebody down for their feelings instead of trying to understand why they have those feelings to begin with.
That's if people actually had that more of that kind of discussion, a lot of problems would have been resolved, especially with the NFL and the flag.
And you know, politically, when you have our politicians, they see those little things, like, you know, down, and I'm going to say it because I visited in Alabama, and there were people who were homeowners who, and the 2 adults, the mother, the father, and the 3 children were all on Social Security, and this is going back now 8 years. They were all on Social Security. Mm-hmm. So I asked them, why are you all on Social Security? And she said, because we can't find a job. Well, why can't you find a job? And she said, well, Walmart wanted to open up here, but our politicians said no because they didn't want Walmart opening up.
Government getting in the way.
So when you look at why they didn't want them opening up, because then more people would have a more diverse group of people, which on the lower end of the monetary paying scale would have worked there, which would have had more people of color moving into those particular places, giving more the voting base larger.
I go on Twitter as well. I really, really enjoy Twitter, by the way.
You tell me that all the time.
Heavily enjoy it. I need to. I think that the GOP is in for a little bit of a surprise, because I think that there are a lot of veterans that do support the Conservative Party. I think there's a lot of veterans that do. And I think there's a natural inclination by a lot of veterans, especially the older veterans, to want to support the conservative base for whatever reason. There's a kind of a common conception out there that when I'm young, I'm Democrat. When I get older, I'm conservative. Like that kind of thing. So I think they're in for a little bit of a surprise, because I think this time around the support from the veteran base might not be as strong as they think. I think obviously the immigration situation is a big deal, but believe it or not, and I can vouch for this, military members don't get paid a whole lot of money.
You think?
They don't.
You think?
Even though there's well over $600 billion put towards military spending, it's usually towards the weapon spending and the contracting.
Space Force.
Yeah, and all that. Oh, now it's going to go to the Space Force as well. So you have a lot going on there. And then a lot of it's not, quote, trickling down to the troops. There was a 1.4% raise in 2018, which is not a very big raise. Barack Obama had some low ones too. He had like 1.1 or 1.0. He hit the ground running hard in the beginning. He was like almost 4% in the beginning, but that started to dwindle down. But during the first year of the Trump administration, they have cut SNAP benefits.
I wonder if they had ever had. Well, no, it actually goes with what you're saying. I wonder if there has ever been any study done about the families of former veterans if they're on assistance.
Well, I know for a fact when I was in the military, we had teachers. So when I was in school, I was in training school. I was an airman, A1C, and a senior airman. That was my first 3 years or so of the military. Was those three ranks, maybe 4 or 5 years. The guys that were teaching me were tech sergeants and master sergeants. They were teaching me, my skill trade and all that kind of stuff, meteorology and whatnot. And one of them was flat out very honest with all of us. He was a tech sergeant, married. They were on welfare. They were on SNAP. They needed it. They needed the assistance because he's like, you're not going to make a lot of money here. Like, don't think you're making a lot of money here. If you're raising a family and owning a home while you're a tech sergeant, you're definitely going to want to get assistance. And you worked for it. You're working. You're serving your country, so there's nothing wrong with applying for it. And I said, hey, that's his business.
It's a fire. To see somebody who was willing to die for our country, not have money.
I'm almost sure. I looked up numbers back in 2017. We're approaching 2019 now, and I believe
really is. It does. I'm gonna go fight for my country, and then you come home and it's like they turn their back.
Huh? Thanks for your service, gal.
Oh, and that's the thing. Like, no.
So these military members now have gotten SNAP benefits cut.
Yeah, I know.
There are a lot of military veterans who are not happy about this. Not veterans, I'm sorry. Military servicemen and women that are not happy with this. Military families that are currently serving that need that support, especially when their man is overseas or their wife is overseas and they're stuck at home doing a lot of things on their own. So they're going to be in for a surprise. I think they're taking a lot of things for granted right now. And they're in for a surprise.
Because the rhetoric right now is louder than what's on paper, but eventually the tides turn. And like I said, when we applaud what a politician does one day, we may be talking about how bad it was 5 years from now.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, everybody will say, oh, it's a good thing or it's a bad thing. And I say, you can't say that because we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. There are so many, just like, local politics. You think there's intricacies in local politics? National, that's a whole new ball game.
So I believe I checked it online last year, 2017, that so somewhere between 1.5 million servicemen and women qualify for SNAP.
Isn't that crazy?
That number is going up significantly higher, and I think you're going to have a hard time. I think this, if you cut down on, now it's almost 2 million. I'm sure it's about that. You cut down on 2 million people, I think you're going to start feeling that effect. It's all about the Electoral College anyway, so you might not even have to worry about it. He can lose the popular vote by 3 million votes and still win the presidency. So it's not like, city council and mayor where you have to get sheer numbers. So he could still probably pull it off, but I think there's going to be I think he's going to feel the effects of this one. That one is going to be a low-key hit.
Midterms are also going to be a big deal, too.
We talked about black, we talked about white, we talked about military, we talked about a lot of things. Now we got to talk about your favorite color.
Purple.
Purple.
I have purple in my veins.
There it is. You actually do have purple in your veins.
I do.
Okay.
That's why I make a big thing, and I call myself a Republicrat. So for a Democrat and Republican, so you get the red and blue, put it together, it's purple. So it's like purple's just my color.
A listener of the show sent me this earlier today. It is the agenda for the 26th meeting, and it is written on June 21st, which is 2 days ago. The Honorable City Council of Fall River. Dear Honorable Council members, do you mind me reading this whole thing out?
No, please do.
Dear Honorable Council members, in accordance with the provisions of Chapter 24, Section 32 of the Massachusetts General Laws, per the Council request, the following appropriation order change is presented to your honorable body for fiscal 2019. It should say fiscal year, I think. Anyway. The appropriation order before you has been increased as a result of your actions to retain, I love this, your actions to retain the pay-as-you-throw ordinance number 2015-23. I'm going to say that one again just nice and slowly, okay? The appropriation order before you has been increased as a result of your actions. So he's not even taking responsibility. He's like, no, this is your action.
It's their action.
To retain the pay-as-you-throw ordinance. The annual budget for the year for the fiscal year 2019 is increased to $281,489,012.
Which I thought that was interesting too, to put that number in there.
So the original budget submission was $279,664,012. The additional appropriations is going to be for bag costs, which is $400,000, and then the reserve fund, which is $1,425,000, which increases it to the proposed number $281,489,012. Now, there's a paragraph underneath all this math. And it says as follows. To arrive at this increase, it is anticipated that the local receipts will increase to $1,825,000. My original budget included anticipated receipts from the Pay-as-you-throw program through September 30th in the amount of $475,000. As a result, the revised budget includes estimated receipts from the Pay-as-you-throw program of $2,300,000. Any transfers from the reserve fund.
2.5.
Almost. Well, it's 3.5 is your number, but any transfers from the reserve fund will need appropriation approval from the council. If you have any questions or concerns regarding this, please feel free to contact me. Best regards, Jazel F. Correa II, Mayor.
Now, see, I like how he also puts any transfers from the reserve fund will need to be appropriated by the council. Right? So what that does again is it's showing that
it won't meet
they just want the money. Like it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
He's wise. I give him more credit than I thought.
So there was some concern as to whether or not they would meet these budget costs. I also, there's a political factor in this. I think.
You think?
I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a political factor to this.
It's all it is.
Jazel ran on saying he wanted to get rid of the program. He was ready to do it. He had the ways and the means of doing it, and your council said no. One council member, his name is Brad Kilby, said this is reckless. Another person who ran on getting rid of the purple bags during the election year, Council President Cliff Ponte, decided to turn on that and say we need the money, we need the bags, and this has nothing to do with the environment. I think one of his friends was on my social media talking about how great the bags are for the environment and everything. Has nothing to do with the environment. This is something that's been going on for Cliff Ponte specifically, and Sean Kadim as well. And then you could throw Rich Cabaceres in there for 1 year as well, where constantly questioning whether or not the figures are going to meet. They're always we're not going to have enough money in the budget, or I'm fearful we'll have a shortfall. They have not. They have not had a shortfall. As a matter of fact, they've run 2 budgets pretty much to the letter. The only issue they had was when Councilor Ponte and Councilor Kadim and Councilor Cabaceres and a handful, I think it was those 3 and maybe a couple other ones, got involved and said the MIS budget was too high and they wanted to make cuts. And then public safety was like, no, don't make these cuts. We need these to stay in place because it's actually helping us out. And they said no. And then months later, they had to do it all over again. And then for whatever reason or another, Councilor Ponte decided to try to lecture everyone and say that I care about public safety and blah, blah, blah. When in reality, he cared more about the political aspect instead of actually the budget aspect.
It's sad.
So we have problems here, guys. And I think that politics got in the way of you dealing with this program, Pay As You Throw, that has completely been a disaster from top to bottom. Has it? Has it not been?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and will continue to still be a disaster. Only there's going to be less bags sold.
It's going to be less bags sold.
Just saying the city is going to end up paying more money because our city councilors were stupid and wanted to continue the bags. So the taxpayers are actually going to end up footing the bill because less bags will be sold, I promise you that.
And that means that they're going to have to pull from the general fund in order to meet their
pay for the bags that they couldn't sell
or they
because
could build
they can't enforce anybody to purchase the bags.
They could pull from the reserve fund with the appropriation approved.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Genius. Baby genius.
Yeah. Set themselves up completely.
Stupid.
And not to mention, I believe the contract is up in 2019 as well.
July 14th, 2019.
The Pay As You Throw program was signed in July 2014, and it was a 5-year contract. So July 2019 will be the final day of that contract.
But make no mistake, we're heading into the fiscal 2019 year.
Yes. It's a very interesting situation.
This is stupid.
So that's that. Do you want to have any more discussion about this situation?
Well, I'm not going to give it away, but I want everybody to remember that I said it's going to be fun when they make the appropriation for the bags. Just remember I said that. I'm not even giving it away, but if things go the way, I've been right so far, and not that I'd like to admit that, but if things go the way that I believe they're going to after seeing that, it'll be fun when they make the appropriation for the bags.
I like for you to point out when you're right about things. It's nice.
It'll be great when they make the appropriation for the bags.
I had somebody come up to me. I went to the Gonzalos. They had a memorial.
Remember?
Yeah, scholarship fund. Sorry, just kind of drew a blank there. They had a scholarship fund in his name. It's been annual now, and it's going very well. It's very successful. Almost $100,000 has been shipped out to kids for scholarships, which is really awesome. And for the first time, I was able to finally attend the meeting. I wasn't working or doing anything, so I had a really good time. And one person came up to me. His son actually got awarded some of the scholarship money, and he listens to our show all the time. So he comes up to me and goes, "That Nikki girl needs to run for city council or something. Like, what's going on with her? Like, what's up? What's her situation?" So I said, "You want to laugh? You want to really laugh a lot?" He's like, "Yeah." We're at the Cultural Center, pretty big area, big hall. I showed him a picture of your Facebook page, which it has Nikki as Oscar the Grouch saying, "Did someone say trash?" And he could not stop laughing. He laughed He laughed so loud that the whole entire hall bellowed. It was great. It was fantastic. So, I think that, I always say that you should get involved, you should do it. I know that you are involved, and I don't mean to downplay the role of the citizen, but your vote on a council and council chambers would be very strong. It would be a strong vote. It would be to vote in the right direction for what we need. Because right now we had a 6-3 vote to actually keep a program when the mayor wanted to get rid of it.
Without any talk of reducing our costs
Right.
to
Right.
compensate.
No, they
for
just
the loss
want the
of
money.
revenue.
So we literally do not have a city council that is looking out for the best interests of the city at all. As a matter of fact, in Council President Ponte's argument that he needed to keep the bags because he's looking out for the best interests of the
Right.
city. That is,
Crazy.
that is enormously.
Yeah.
That's a huge mistake. Because now we know that his mindset is, it's in the best interest of the city to take money from them for what reason exactly? To pay for trash? That's what he said?
But it's not to pay for trash.
That's what I'm saying.
But it's not to pay for trash because they never talk about the costs of trash when they
Right.
talk about the bag revenue. They talk about keeping police, they talk about funding our schools,
Roads.
they talk about the roads, but
Yeah.
the thing is, the budget had all that stuff included.
It was all there.
And didn't have the bag revenue there.
Right.
They wanted the
Yes.
bag revenue.
Absolutely.
Because they're trying to use it as a political ping pong.
Absolutely right.
Well, I'm telling you guys right now, you're being trumped.
And I think that you look at that reasoning again. We need to pay for our trash. We need to do this. So he's willing to take your money without knowing exactly how much residential trash costs.
Yep.
If
He's
he runs-
willing to take your money knowing that, and let me tell you, Cliffy, I talk to you. So you like my posts and stuff, so you know that you're aware of this information. He is 100% aware that housing properties are receiving city services at no cost. Mind you, they're receiving, I know for a fact that Doolin Apartments is receiving recycling services. I want everybody to drive through there and open one recycling bin. Open one and you tell me if it's contaminated. And then ask yourself why you have to buy purple bags, but these people who are receiving recycling services in housing don't have to buy purple bags. That's what our city councilors are telling people by forcing them to buy. And then they don't even just want to force residents to buy bags. They want to make it legal to fine a landlord because their residents don't want to buy purple bags. They want to make you a bully.
Someone sent me some information.
While housing is receiving those services at no cost. Because here's the thing, they always throw out, well, we received some pilot money from housing.
Oh, yeah.
We received some pilot money for housing. Oh, you do? Where is that money going and what is it paying for? Because I will bet you any money it's paying for police officers to go into housing. It's not paying for the trash that is getting collected from housing. So let's look at how much money they're giving us in that pilot
And we're
versus
not-
the costs to give what the city gives to housing.
Tens and tens of even hundreds of thousands of dollars has been
Yeah.
given to us for these things.
Yeah.
I don't think it's been put in the right direction.
No, it hasn't been.
I got a little message from someone looking up the old Seekonk, Massachusetts area for whatever reason. I'm not
Oh,
sure
nice. I love that though.
why. They told me that they think that Seekonk has bags. Blue bags. That's what they were telling me. They think Seekonk has blue bags. There was also a notification of recycling at the transfer station. Due to unforeseen circumstances, the transfer station will no longer be open for the disposal of recyclables until further notice. All recyclables need to be placed curbside for collection. We apologize for the inconvenience. So I'm not really sure what's going on in Seekonk right now.
Because they don't have the money to have somebody standing there to collect that recycling all day long, which is why they want it to be picked up on curbside. They're trying to save money. Oh, wait a second. Are they trying to save money? Are they talking about privatizing their hauling, perhaps?
It'd be interesting.
Pretty interesting.
I would like to see that process. I think that someone's got their eye on that, so I don't have to worry about that too much. We got enough to worry about.
Follow the
Fall River
money. I'm
right now.
telling you, it's always there. It's always there.
Money. Speaking of which,
Money, 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 money. Money. And whose theme song was that?
Don't. Apprentice. But it was the
Some
Dells. I think it was
people
the Dells that sang
Got
it.
to have
Or was
it.
it the OJs?
It was remade, I think, a few times.
Anyway,
I could be wrong.
the Fall River Office of
What?
Economic Development.
I don't know what that is.
You're not sure what that is?
Nope.
Okay. I'm going to look it up. FROED. Do you have a website? They do have a website. Let's see what this website says.
Did you mean fried?
Well, that's what Google thinks I meant. This is the official website of the Fall River Office of Economic Development.
Uh-oh.
Well, yep, we got some stuff here. We got some information here. Let's look it up again in a different setting. And they do have a website still. I guess they're gonna probably knock that website down eventually. Let's see. June 14th, just about 9 days ago, got an article here saying that FROED dissolved. There's a picture of Ken Fiola on the article. And I actually saw Ken Fiola at the event last night. Wouldn't talk anything like that. I don't really know him that well, to be quite honest with you. But I interact with his wife quite frequently with the veterans. Let's see. What is this? I forgot what it's called. Oh, there it is. We'll get this up here. And we have the FROED dissolving, changing duties, and reorganizing its board. The Fall River Office of Economic Development is no more. Somebody might want to tell the website master about that. Let's see. In its place is the, quote, Bristol County Economic Development Consultants.
Hilarious.
We can't say that. We can't say that it's a family show.
Say it again.
We can't say that on a family show.
That's why they named it. Say it again. Wait.
BCEDC. We can't be saying that on this is a family show. We can't say that. We have to say BCEDC if we talk about this group.
BCD.
BCD? I don't know. Anyway, the name of the company is called Bristol County Economic Development Consultants, a nonprofit that will offer advice to businesses and communities through the region. And the advice will no longer be free, according to the executive, Vice President Ken Fiola. The FROED Board of Directors voted Thursday to rename and reinvent itself. That vote is the result of the decision by Mayor Jazel Correa II in April of last year to cut a $300,000 annual stipend FROED received from the city to act as its economic development agent. So they were paid by the government, but they were technically a private agency. The action was taken after Correa admitted the FBI was investigating his former business. He said he believed the investigation was instigated by a complaint from FROED. Fiola and FROED directors have denied that. Since that action, FROED eliminated 3 of the organization's 6 jobs and cut back its role with the city. That required changes, Fiola said. The board voted to expand our economic development services to Bristol County. We will no longer be known as FROED. We will be the Bristol County EDC. We will market our services to cities and towns and private developers through the Bristol County region. That will include project management, grant writing, marketing services, and microloans to the businesses from the $4.5 million loan account the organization holds. We are currently in negotiations with private entities as well as public entities to provide these services. It is not entirely new to the organization, he said. We've been down on this on a limited basis with Freetown, Westport, and Somerset. The difficult part will be in a business call when a business calls for advice and they have to be redirected. We've been providing these services for free for 30 years, helping businesses with relocations, applying for grants, finding loans, and we can still do that, but it'll be on a fee basis. When people call with a question, we will refer them to the city. You think they're going to do that?
No.
I didn't think so either.
Come on now. Why would they do that?
Such bad blood between the mayor and
Right
Ken
now,
Fiola.
like they might do it in the future, depending upon
Who becomes the mayor in the future?
who is the mayor in the future. But that to me, when that happened, that was it was quite interesting to me. I was like,
Let's just say you were the, you had a crystal ball and you can see.
I do,
Well, okay. Let's say you're using that functionally and you can see to the future. Okay. Who do you think is going to be the mayor after the 2019 election?
Jazel Correa.
Okay. Who do you think is going to be president after the next presidential election, 2020?
Linda Pereira or Steve Camara, Joe Camara.
President of the United States.
Oh, President of the United
it was
States.
Good. It was
Sorry,
good.
I was
No, that
thinking
was
City
fine.
Council. I
That was
didn't even
fine.
listen to your
Steve
words.
Camara, you think he'll be up there?
No, Joe Camara is what I meant to say. For president, I don't know.
You're not sure? Okay.
I don't know. I think right now, I don't think that anybody is sure. I don't even think we know what's going to happen. I'm like, I don't get too that far ahead. Like I'm thinking midterm elections right now. Like I'm thinking midterm elections, but I have no idea because something that Trump could play it a totally different way. Like he's got the opportunity to be an amazing president and to bring people together. So I'm not gonna say that I know for sure. Do I think he's gonna do it personally? Not really. I think he likes the divisiveness. That's part of him.
Well, he's a
being
big fan
so
of Alex
successful.
Jones. He's a huge fan of Alex Jones.
It's even bigger than that. Even just amongst his own businesses, he likes people competing for his approval. So that's just something, he's a narcissist. That's just something he likes personally. So to see the world, I can control the world by one little thing, and think about it, one little tweet puts the world in chaos. So he likes that. But I don't think he is a Republican. I still say he's a Democrat acting like a Republican, and I think it's going to punch the Republicans where they don't want it to. I don't think it's going to be a good thing. I think it could be a good thing for the Democrats. I don't look at it like it would be a good thing for the Democrats. I think they're being just as foolish as Republicans are being right now. But I don't know. It could go anyway. Look what's happened in 15 months, 17 months?
Oh, yeah.
He's been the president. You don't know what's going to happen the next 17 months. We don't know what Michael Cohen has. We don't know nothing.
The organization continues its relationship with the City Redevelopment Authority. The contract with the RDA runs through August 2019, so Bristol County EDC. That's what they're calling themselves, Bristol County EDC.
Ick.
Anyway, Bristol County
Say that
EDC,
back 3 times.
exactly. Bristol County EDC will represent it with the waterfront and downtown urban renewal plans. The renovation for the city pier and the negotiations between the RDA and the State Department of Transportation on matters about the proposed rebuilding of Route 79. As part of the reorganization, the group removed the mayor, the city council president, the president of the Bristol County Chamber of Commerce, and the superintendents of schools as ex officio members of the board. So they all got moved off the board.
Good.
Interesting. This is very interesting.
I don't know if that'll be in business the next year or so.
But the Bristol, well, they have a 4.5 loan. They have a $4.5 million loan account.
When they were getting city dollars.
No, they have. That's what their organization holds. That.
Yeah, but have they gotten it in the last 9 days? Oh, did they get that before the 9 days?
No, that's their loan account. So they must have that money. That must be their money.
And I'd say, where did it come from?
But they were getting a $300,000 annual stipend. That's what they were getting from the city. That is no longer going to be.
So we will see how far they get without dollars from Fall River.
Well, they have set up limited bases with Freetown, Westport, and Somerset as well.
We'll see.
I'm just throwing it out
I
there.
know.
As part of the
I
reorganization.
just think 9 days has been a little.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
But they're keeping the door open. We're keeping the door open for the current city administration and for future administrations to contract us for economic development services. We are trying to maintain open doors of opportunity for this organization.
I would not be surprised to see this organization dwindle in the next few years. To be a thing of the past.
So I have to, you have to wonder. You have to wonder, We talked about this a little bit in the last show. You know, if we're keeping score of recall related topics.
Oh yeah.
Recall and mayor, you know, Flanagan was obviously a big deal at the time. Then you had they pushed Sutter out over there when he came down with the fees, but it wasn't a very big win. He got a very big win on Linda, but it was still a tight win against Sutter. But he did it.
Still win.
Meg Mayo Brown quickly moved out after that. You look at, you know, the sanitation enterprise fund got eliminated.
Rightly so, as it should have.
Privatized the labor union that was doing the sanitation.
The hauling of our trash.
Yep, the hauling of the trash. You know, he's done a lot. He's done now.
Stop the city from collecting illegal construction and demolition debris.
Got that one there. Then you really look into this Froed business, and he just defunded them until they said, "We're done. We can't be this entity anymore for you." I mean,
Which
I just
has to make one question: if they were going to be successful, why they needed foreign money?
why they needed $300,000. Yeah. And their name of their organization was named based solely on their funding from the city, because all they did was defund it. They didn't really say you had to dissolve and go and you don't have to do business with us anymore. But we no longer are giving you $300,000, and so now you're no longer going to be the
So
former
can
office of
salaries be
economic
paid if they lose $300,000?
development. We're going to find out.
Won't we?
We're going to find out.
It's gonna be interesting.
Ken Fiola's salary was just under $200,000, but then there was some extras involved in that too, as well. I think, and ended up being somewhere close to $250, if I'm not mistaken. It's pretty high. It's pretty high. And it might still be.
2.5.
It might still be. I don't know. He might still be able to bring in that money. I don't know.
We'll see.
Jazel has done quite a lot. When you keep that kind of score. Any other recallers out there do something like that?
Well, no other recaller was elected mayor.
No, exactly not. And you gotta wonder where.
I keep trying to tell our council, come on, even Bob Correa.
Yeah.
When I had I tried to make it clear, Bob Correa initiated the rainwater tax, lost his seat to Flanagan. Flanagan ran on the whole, I'm going to get rid of the rainwater tax, and gave us purple bags, to which he was recalled and lost the recall election to Sam Sutter, who then initiated a $10 per monthly
unit.
illegal trash fee and lost the election to Jazel Correa, who got rid of the $10 fee and will get rid of trash bags 4 months before the next mayoral election. He will be mayor again. Just
the
saying.
bags will be gone.
Linda Pereira lost. The mother of the city council lost a mayoral election to Jazel Correa, and they think that keeping the purple bags is a good thing for their city council seats?
The mayor, if I'm not mistaken, the mayor will be running for re-election in 2019 in October, November, right? July 2019 is when the bags, the contract for the bags is up. And I don't think the council has a say as to whether or not the city can.
Nobody on the planet can make him renew a contract.
Yeah.
If you look at the signatures on that contract, there's not one city council signature on that contract. They have zero to do with the contract.
Yeah.
Zero, which is why I keep telling them, are they willing to do this for another year?
Yeah.
And let's be real, it wasn't even a year. Jazel was asking for the bags through September.
Yep.
So October, November, December. Let's be clear, folks. In December, it's Christmas time, and they always give us a freebie day anyway.
Yep.
Correct? Yep. That's December. January, February, March, April, May, June, July. So we're talking. Do they really want to push it for 7 months worth of?
I want to know who's going to run against him, and I believe it might be Cliff Ponte.
And say, he got rid of the $10 fee.
Yeah.
He got rid of the purple bags. Don't elect him.
I believe maybe Ponte might run. I do think maybe You'll see some of the other names that you've seen before, Cabaceres, a couple other people. Interesting. I would assume
You
you'd
think
be.
Cabaceres is gonna come back? I don't.
He could run for either office.
I don't think he's
I
coming
think
back.
I'm pretty sure he's going to come
I
back.
think I'm not in Fall River. If he runs, it could
Oh,
be
yeah.
somewhere else.
He
but
just
not
became
here.
a paramedic. He became a paramedic out in
don't know.
Seekonk.
I have no
so.
idea.
Something
I don't
like
pay
that.
attention that much.
But I do think that
He's a civilian now, so
yeah, but I've seen him around the way. I've seen him making the rounds a little bit here and there. I think he could run for an office again. It could be city council. It could be mayor. But I'm just throwing names out there that we have already seen run for mayor.
now Linda will be back.
Linda, I think, is going to
Dan
definitely come
Rigo
back.
will be back. I think
City
we're
council?
gonna see. Yes, I think we're gonna see because. Okay, and I could be wrong, right? But so far, so good. Rigo's a big union guy. Okay, so and Linda too is a big union person. And if you go back when I first started doing the research in 2014 about trash, one of the things that was repetitive over and over, was Linda pushing for a transfer station.
Yep.
So when I say I do believe her and
Jaisal.
Jaisal would team up, if she's wise, she'll realize she's run for mayor several times, never happened, unless she doesn't want to have anything to do with politics. But from the things that I've learned about Linda, that was something she was passionate about, was getting that transfer station.
Yeah.
So I do believe that that would be something that could bring her back to make sure
Yeah.
that I'm not saying that her and him are going to be friendly.
No.
That her and Jaisal would
But
be
they have a
friendly.
common goal.
But if
Yeah.
you know, she could be saying, okay, he's going to bring in a transfer station. There are certain things that I think we need to make sure XYZ with the transfer station. So I think that's where we're going to see a resurgence.
Yeah.
In Dan Rigo, maybe Ray.
Yeah.
I don't know if Ray would come back. That's a possibility. We saw Leo come back, and I never thought that was going to happen. Once that man, I really didn't. I thought he was really going to just.
I think I just understand voters a little
Drive
bit
into
in the
the
city.
sunset.
I think I have a little small understanding of what the voters look for in the city, and you know, it's a lot of it goes with sometimes it's comfort level, they vote how they feel more than. I think can they do the job as like secondary or even
Like
maybe third on the list. I think they gotta like the person's personality, especially when it comes to city council voting. I think they just, I like Ray. I've known him for a long time. I like Linda. I've known Linda and her family for years. Like, I think that kind of voter is more targeted on the city council level, not just in Fall River, but in most of your city politics. It's that kind of thing. But that's the reason why she didn't come close to the mayor, because there's a different scale that I think people use.
Each voter gets to choose 9 for city council.
That's
There's
obviously watered
there's
down.
9
Yeah.
names.
That's the watered down part
So
of it. Yeah.
there are 9 people you get to choose from.
What do
so
I got
by
to
the time
lose?
you
Yeah.
you pick your first 4 that you like.
Yeah.
There's all these other names. So Linda, when you look at who the names you hear the most, Linda, Leo, Dan,
Yeah.
it's so do I think they would have a good shot at coming back? Yes. So then you look at who would lose their seats.
Yeah.
Okay. So Joe is going to keep his seat. Steve Camara would keep his seat. Steve Long might possibly keep his seat, but you look at somebody like Pamela Liberty LeBeau. If Linda runs again, Pam's out. Pam's out. Dan Rigo and then run again. It'll be Pam out. Cliff will be out.
Cliff?
Yeah, Cliff is
No.
coming out.
Cliff-
Cliff is
Cliff-
definitely coming out because he ran. Like, he didn't just say I'm going to try to get rid of the purple bags. He literally was like, I'm getting rid of the purple bags no matter what.
He was first and second in the past 2 years. You think he's gonna drop
Flanagan
that down?
was beloved. He was
Yeah.
the beloved.
Yeah.
And they recalled him.
Yeah.
He was beloved, and they recalled him. Because now we're talking about the mayoral race, which is much harder to win
Yeah.
than a city council seat.
I still think that people out there like Cliff Ponte.
I didn't say that they didn't.
Yeah.
But again, when it's watered down, you compare him to, I'm not comparing him to Ron Cabral.
Right.
I'm comparing him to Linda Pereira.
I truly am
Dan
not sure
Rigo.
about. I'm not. I was 100% sure that Pam would win last election. I was 100% sure of that. I'm not a fully 100% sure right now.
Anybody
It's hard
who
to get a
supported
grasp- yeah.
the purple bags, I think the only one who's supporting the purple bags that has the shot to stay is Sean Kadeen. And you know from day one I said there is something about him
It's like
that I think he's because I think people see him like I do. There's something but now we're taking too long. Like, that's like, if you had something to say, man, you should have already said it.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything.
So
I actually,
it's personal. It's all personal.
I still don't have a grasp on Pam's crowd. I have a pretty good grasp of Sean and Cliff's crowd for the most part. I know where they're coming from. Kevin Aguiar has that same crowd.
Pam's crowds were because she did a lot with the neighborhood associations
Huge.
once upon a time.
Yeah.
But that's going to be her downfall as well. Whereas she did get so much help for the neighborhood associations, it's now she's a city councilor and you're trying to keep purple bags. Like, we needed help in this area and you're willing to recognize that people need help, but at the same time you're trying to force. So I think people underestimate the taxpayer.
I'm not fully, like I said, I just don't have a strong grasp. I mean, I know that obviously she did a lot there, but she also did, like, when she was the neighborhood association leader, Flanagan was the mayor at the time, and there was a lot of photo opportunity there with the mayor and all that stuff.
Had a different,
she doesn't have that same relationship with this current mayor right now.
No, and her herself has changed. She herself, because even I look upon her differently than I did in the past.
What did you look upon her in the past with?
Because now I think she's a little more arrogant than she was. And that's not, I don't mean to be insulting, but for me, and this is what I try to explain, like, when I reach out to our city councilors, I always do it in a respectful manner, because I don't care who our city council is.
Right.
I want them to do what's best for the city as a whole.
Yeah.
So when I'm reaching out to them, I don't care who they are. I'm not going to call them names or say whatever. However, I don't think she respects constituents like she did when she first began.
Did you think that respect in the beginning was genuine?
I did, because there was a lot of the times, the several years prior to her being a counselor, I saw her on the other side.
Yep.
She was a resident who was fighting to make the city better. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's how, all right. And whether or not I'm a mom, so maybe that's where she got me, was because she was a mom helping with the parks and trying to get this stuff all going in.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what attracted me to her as a politician at first.
Yeah.
But the fact that I no longer see that quality in her has turned me off.
What about just simply as a city councilor, performance-wise? Step away from the purple bag topic for a little while. Have you seen a standing out of anything in public safety, anything like that? I know that I've seen her do pretty well from my perspective with the Veterans Center. She really jumped on top of that.
I was with the fire department.
Yep.
When she was integral
Absolutely.
in that. But it doesn't mean anything to me if you're not willing to do it across the board on everything.
I got you. Okay.
You can't pick and choose, because here's the thing, right? They don't mess with the fire department because they know that we have to. Taxes, no matter what, will always pay for the fire department. So they're a safe bet. It's the same thing with the police department. That's a safe bet. We always need police. We always need fire. There's no way to legally privatize them. It just can't happen. So those are safe bets.
Yep.
To put your eggs in the police or the fireman basket. And as well we should. They should be supported. They should have all the support of our politicians and our people. Like, I have their backs. I couldn't the fire department didn't have proper breathing apparatus. That's ridiculous.
We're all over that one, yeah.
But at the same time, we
Council voted for office furniture.
Right.
That was
Without
good
breathing
time.
apparatus. But anyway, at the same time, we need to do the same thing in all other departments.
Sure.
Like we do with trash. You need to give that. If somebody is coming to you saying, hey, I understand you want to keep the revenue for the bags, but instead of keeping the revenue for the bags, what about if we decrease the price?
Yep.
Decrease the cost. When you're ignorant to that, you can tell me it's a great idea, but if you're not willing to discuss it at the table and your first answer is to still charge people for something, and it's not even that she likes the purple bags, it's that she went one step further. She is willing to make a landlord get a fine for not being able to force their tenant to buy a purple bag. At the same time, she's not questioning if they have the legal authority to do that.
Do you think that the administration, you saw that the language of that document?
Yes.
I'm having a hard time, and maybe I can ask you this question. I'm having a hard time believing that Jazel and the administration piece is going to be heavily invested in compliance.
No.
No.
No, not at all. Like I said,
The language
if there
of
are
that
no
document.
enforcers, that's why I started posting that if I was a Fall River city councilor.
Yeah.
They don't realize what Jazel's doing to them right now.
Right.
He's getting ready for the next election.
Right.
A year and a half in advance. He's getting ready for the next election. I don't think it matters. When people say, Jazel doesn't like the pay-as-you-throw program, bullshit. He
loved
was
it.
a huge supporter of pay-as-you-throw.
2014-15, he was
Yes,
liked the,
yes.
he
Let's
liked
see what
the
it does.
program,
We
yeah.
need to have an enforcement piece. We need to.
But
so,
there was an element to that of caring about the environment. He actually thought that was going to reduce
Right.
tonnage and blah blah blah.
But
and
that's
reduce
where
recycling
I'm
and
saying
all
that they can't use that as an excuse.
Increasing recycling would have been a great thing if we weren't in the Casella contract. If we were in a contract where recycling
Notice
actually
nobody ever brings up the Casella contract.
no. Everyone's like, oh, we're recycling more, recycling more. They don't realize that our recycling contract was eating us alive financially. We needed to be in a contract with a recycling agency that was doing something productive with this recycling, or made money off the recycling, or did something off the recycling that took costs off us.
Yeah.
Instead, they were putting the costs on us, the burden on us, whenever we had contaminated recycling. So it was actually a disaster to
And
increase our recycling
If Cliff tries
financially.
to run against Jazel and not keep his city council seat, he's not going to be in Fall River politics. He might win if he runs for city council, depending upon who else is running.
I actually think Cliff is going to still hold on to his base.
I think he's not. Again, I'll say it. Bob Correa lost. And then when I posted that, Bob Correa came on and said, "You're forgetting I was the first one in 20 years who didn't raise taxes."
Yep.
And I said, "You're proving my point.
Yep.
You didn't raise taxes after 20 years. You instituted the rainwater tax, and what happened?
Boom.
You lost your seat."
Peace out.
They don't understand that part of it. It doesn't matter when there are. And you know why I don't want to run? Like everybody, why don't you run? Because there are more residents in the city who think like I do than our politicians believe.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a city councilor. I want our city councilors to do with their job.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
So when there are more people like me, and keep going, because I laugh every time they do something. Like they come in, like even Sean Kadeem, like, man, I was on your side, hoping that you had something to say. He came in, I've got all these ideas. Where the hell are they? Your budget? Where is-
Uniquely-
I'm looking for it, can't find it.
Well, I was going to mention this earlier, that whoever does run, I'm going to be if the contract is up in July 2019.
So exciting.
Right, when the contract is up in July 2019, we already know or have an idea of what Jazel was going to do to make up for the lost revenue.
I'm so excited right now.
I'm wondering what other mayoral candidates, especially if any of them are coming from the city council who supported the Purple Bag program, what their budget is going to look like. And it's funny, you don't even have to run on what your budget looks like when you run for mayor. You really don't. But I'm curious if they're going to answer any questions as to what they plan to do with the budget, with this revenue no longer as an option to fall back on to steal from taxpayers. I'm wondering what they're going to do. I really, this is going to be like the most natural of reduction that we've seen.
I can't wait.
Right.
Well, it's all going to happen, but we'll be seeing an end to pay as you throw before the end of this year. You want to bet me? We'll
Me?
be seeing an end to pay as you throw before the end of 2018. Yes. And oh no, I won't say it. We'll wait. Because then when it happens, I can be like,
Well, I don't know if it's going to end before 2018, but I think, you think somebody's smart enough to step up and say, hey, wait a minute, put the brakes on this?
no, I think our city council is going to end the program, and they're not even going to realize they're going to end the program. But I'll let them do that.
Interesting.
I'll let them do that. Oh my God, I can't even wait.
I wouldn't make that bet because it's such a volatile political animal that maybe somebody might come to their senses and say, hey, we should probably scale back on this one. But
It doesn't matter. It's the second they do that.
They get the appropriation?
The second they pass that little thing right there and
Yeah.
keep pay as you throw,
yeah.
I cannot wait.
Okay. Well, you'll have to the 26th, I believe, that they're going to do this, unless
yes,
it gets tabled.
It
Unless they listen to this show and they're like, wait, let's table it.
They don't
Let's
care
figure this
anything
out.
I have to say. But it's literally going to be at their hands, and they're going to look so bad. I can't wait. Oh my God, it's so good.
Let me
Even
throw.
you, wait till I tell you.
I want to laugh. But I am interested in seeing this next mayoral debate. I want to see who has these revenue ideas. I think that Jazel can actually run on a record of saying, you guys kept telling me that I was going to fall short on my budgets, and I've passed every budget to the letter each time. You need to stop doubting me.
Actually done a lot better when you go through the budget
Yes.
line by line.
Yes.
He's actually budgeting for things we're supposed to budget for. So, okay. And I know he's not all perfect, guys. Believe me, I'm not thrilled about the transfer station idea that I know is coming up. But
It could end up being. I'm actually like kind of looking forward to this because I want to. If it could end up being something good. Our options.
meanwhile, across the world, recycling
China, yeah.
costs are going through the roof.
Let's
invest.
My big problem here is that I think a lot of hands are tied. Municipal hands are tied all over the country here.
Right. And what happens when a president comes along and gets rid of those regulations after we've invested millions into a recycling facility?
Yeah.
And then a president comes along and says, no, there's no such thing as contamination. Then what? And they give landfills more land.
Right.
And they open up more landfills. The cost of recycling is going to skyrocket.
I actually am hoping that there's some type of like reform and kind of a re-looking into some of these options that we
Stop
have.
through it.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
There's going to be landfills opening up all over the place.
Well, I want to do an energy capture type of thing with our landfill because there's an opportunity for that. You can catch
We
methane.
don't have a landfill. A private company has a landfill.
No, I know. I'm saying if we end up going back to having a landfill that's municipally owned, whatever, maybe we can go into something like that. I like to see something like that. I want to see something new, something different. I don't want to see the same old thing. Obviously, we were talking about gasification and so many other different options, worms. I mean, there's so many different methods to look at, and municipal dollars are out there. Not even municipal, federal EPA. Well, I don't know anymore. I don't know about the EPA anymore. But there was a time when we did have an EPA that cared about the environment. I don't know what's going on yet. I don't know. It's really, really mind-boggling as to what's going to happen. So first of all, before I go, I want to switch over my logo here. I don't have anything else to say because I'm looking forward to this.
Ooh, I actually have something to say.
Well, I'm looking forward to this upcoming meeting. I really want to see this appropriation.
Me too.
I might actually go to the council meeting and watch this
Yeah?
live. Yeah. Go ahead.
Does anybody play HQ? Do you know what HQ is?
I have no idea what that is.
Oh my gosh, it's a game. There's an app online. It's a game. They have 2 games 5 days a week at 3 p.m. and 9 p.m. They ask a dozen questions, and you have the chance to win $5,000. And then on Sunday, they usually have like $25,000 or $50,000. They just ask questions about, there's literature questions, math questions, there's all kinds of questions. You guess, and you can win. So I've been playing this game for months. If you have not played this game, please do.
Oh
It's
boy.
hilarious. No, it's awesome. It's a really good game.
All right, on that note, I just want to throw out a couple of things. The Veterans Association of Bristol County will be having a car show tomorrow at BK Tavern. As far as I know, the weather should be perfectly fine for tomorrow. We'll see. I'm hoping, keeping my fingers crossed, that'll be good to go. And we'll have a good time. We have a DJ. Keith Resendiz is going to be out there. I don't know if you know Keith Resendiz. It's not the Keith Resendiz that we both knew growing up. It's a different one. He's a younger guy, but he's good. He's a good DJ. And then we're going to also have prizes, raffles. There'll be awards given to the best cars in show. It'll be a good time for
Nice.
everybody. Yeah, we'll have a good time. Raising money for the veterans, so I have no problem with my affiliation up that way. Because it's for a good cause. So
No, they need to do more of that. Those guys need more support.
yeah, so it's going to be good for that, and we'll see you next week. I'm pretty sure Derek will be back next week. I'm pretty sure I will be available next week. We should be able to rock and roll and do this again. So, and I think we'll have the council meeting under our belt, and we'll go forward from there. Everybody have a great week. It was a really fun time.